In the days when God used judges to lead Israel, a food shortage was widespread across the land. There was hardly any food to eat, nor water to drink. People were starving, and many families decided to move away in hope of a better life. One such family was that of a man named Elimelech, who took his wife Naomi and their 2 sons to the land of Moab. They were sure that they could make a better life there and were excited to start a life there. Sadly, though, soon after they arrived in Moab, Elimelech died. His 2 sons took Moabite wives named Ruth and Orpah, and they lived in Moab for 10 years. Disaster struck the family again when both of Naomi's sons died. This was sad and scary for Naomi and her sons' wives. Who was going to provide for and protect them? They were left to take care of themselves. Naomi decided to go back to Israel, to the land she knew so well, to the people she understood, a language she knew, and a community who would accept her in her sadness. She wanted her daughters-in-law, Ruth and Orpah, to stay in Moab to start new families, but Ruth resisted. "No, I will go wherever you go. I want to be part of your people. I want to worship your God as well." So Ruth and Naomi began their journey to the land of Israel. After a long journey, they arrived in Naomi's hometown, Bethlehem. The entire town came out to welcome her back. They were so surprised to see Naomi after more than 10 years. They were also surprised at how old and sad she seemed. "Naomi, is that you?" they asked her with excitement. Naomi did not share their excitement. "Call me bitter, not Naomi. I have had a bitter experience," she said. Naomi and Ruth had arrived at harvest time, and the people were busy gathering grain. Naomi and Ruth had no sons, husbands, or wealth. They really needed food. Naomi was too old to gather grain, so Ruth happily went out to see what she could find. She ended up gathering the leftover scraps in a field that belonged to a man named Boaz. This man was very rich and well known for being a good man. He was kind to everyone, and he loved God. As Ruth gathered grain, everyone seemed to notice her. After all, she was from a different culture. She had different clothes and a different language. Boaz saw how hard she worked. He asked one of his managers, "Who is this girl who has been collecting grain in my field?" "Ah, that is Ruth, the daughter-in-law of Naomi," he replied. So Boaz was very kind to Ruth and made sure that everyone was nice to her and let her gather all the grain she needed. In fact, he even let her eat with his servants. When Ruth came home after a hard day's work, she told Naomi all about the kind man named Boaz. She told her about how he took special interest in her. Naomi remembered that Boaz was a relative to her dead husband, Elimelech. In those days, it was common for the closest relative of the family to help in time of need. Naomi saw this as a great opportunity for Boaz to be the family rescuer, or kinsman redeemer, as they called it. She told Ruth that she must continue gathering grain from his field. After all, he had been so kind. Why go anywhere else? Day after day, Ruth gathered in his fields. Boaz offered her protection, food, and kindness. Day after day, they grew to enjoy being near one another. Naomi was hoping this would happen. Boaz liked Ruth. Ruth liked Boaz. So Naomi came up with a plan. She told Ruth, "Late at night, I want you to go and wake up Boaz. It is time for you to let him know that you want him to marry you. You want his protection, his security, and his love." Late one night, she came to Boaz as he slept outdoors. "I am Ruth, your servant. Please protect me." Boaz did, but there was just one problem. There was another relative of Elimelech who was closer in relation than Boaz. It was really his job to care for Naomi and Ruth and provide Ruth with a son. So Boaz, being the kind man that he was, had a town meeting and invited the other relative. He told the other relative about the opportunity, and to Boaz's delight, the man said no. With all that cleared up, Ruth and Boaz were married. Soon they had a baby boy, bringing great joy to both of them and to Naomi, who was able to help raise him. Naomi, the old woman who had experienced so much sadness, was now filled with new life and joy. This son would not only become the grandfather of Israel's great King David, but Jesus would come from this family too.